Very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. Me, Adebayo. Well, we're down to the last 8 at the Africa Cup of Nations. Tonight on the show, we will preview the quarterfinal matches to be played tomorrow, and also look forward to the Super Eagles when they get to face Algeria on Saturday at the African Cup of Nations. We will also take a look at what is happening in the English Premier League. Title rivals, well, that's if you still consider Liverpool a title rival. Title rivals, Arsenal and Liverpool will, of course, are on the pitch now, are locking arms, of course, at the Emirates Stadium. We'll see what happens in that one. We'll also take a look at what's happening in women's football. We'll talk about Nigeria Women's Football League. That's the outlook of the show today. We're going to have a robust conversation and touch base with all of the things that I've highlighted. It's a two-man show. My colleague Okoda Akwan is suited and ready as we go along on this ride.
What a greetings to you, Yemi, and of course everyone joining us on the show tonight. It's always an action-packed world of sports in Marrakech, Morocco. I'm Austin Okoda Akwan. I watched the Super Eagles train this evening. I saw Victor Osimhen. I saw Ademola Lookman. I saw Wilfred Ndidi, Coach Eric Sekushel, who, by the way, celebrating 1 year on the job, and the camp is doing just fine. So guys, no problem. They are focused. They have their eyes fixed on the prize, that big prize of making it to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations. But they have, I called it a real test. They need to overcome that hurdle that will come their way on Saturday when they confront the Desert Warriors of Algeria, Yemi.
All right. We're hoping they'll be able to do just that. I promise our viewers we're going to have a robust conversation, and let's see if we can bring in our guys. We should be with us in the studio, but of course, unfortunately can't be with. Let's bring in Bolu Omori as he joins us on the show. Bolu, greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show. Okay. We'll get her at. Okay, I understand Bolariwa is with us as well. Bolariwa Olajide is with us. Greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show.
It's a pleasure as always, and looking forward to where the competition actually starts. The big boys are now getting ready to play, and I can't wait to save all of the excitement.
All right, we're excited here as well. We'll take a breather. You see us on the other side. When you see us on the other side, we will start talking about the African Cup of Nations. All right, welcome back. Let me just quickly get Bolariwa's thoughts quickly. A lot has been said. I'm not one that likes controversies or that doesn't like to let sleeping dogs lie. It's not as if I want to rehash anything. But distractions have come the way of the Super Eagles. My question to you is, now everything we're talking about, the quarterfinal, do you think all the issues have been managed well? I mean, maybe just a word on that as we move on.
You don't want this type of stories or controversies before big matches. This is a big match for Nigeria. They're playing against Algeria, and we want everything going on in the camp to be almost perfect. We don't want stories about unpaid bonuses or allowances or salaries, as you call it. Unfortunately, it's reared its ugly head again ahead of a big match. So I hope it has been resolved or should be resolved, because distractions like this from history has never helped a football team. So we don't like it when it happens. It has happened, and I hope and pray that it doesn't affect our chances of winning this year's Africa Cup of Nations.
All right, let me go to Austin, our man on the ground. I mean, we're getting conflicting reports. And just like Bolariwa said, I would have loved us not to dwell too much on all of this. We shouldn't even be having all of this to start with. But it is what it is, and we're aware that we are. But you're the man on the ground. What are you hearing? You say everything is fine. So what is going on?
What's going on is that the Super Eagles arrived at the Savoy Le Grand Hotel right in Marrakech at about 3:30 p.m. local time, and they were all smiles. Straight up went into the hotel bar, and then there was a short welcome ceremony that the Moroccans put together for them. The boys were all, as I said, smiles. Calm, gentle, I tried to talk to Victor Osimhen briefly, but, they must have given them a brief. Don't talk to the press, just mind your business, get into, work mode. But what is really happening here is that they are managing the situation so well. They had about 2 hours rest, and then straight up they went to the training pitch, to get back to business straight up, because it's very important, They did that. The media was allowed to, got the mandatory 15 to 20 minutes, watch the team, do their stretches, touch the ball around. And whether or not people try to, blow this thing out of what it is, was Victor Osimhen wrong? Yes, he was. I only blamed him for not going back to the team right after, full-time whistle went off. He would have just gone join the team. They do that normal, team talk, everybody shake hands, hug. The media would have shown that, and everybody will be cool. But that didn't happen. So people, jumped on the narrative. He's human. He can get angry. Some persons have described it as him being over-passionate. I don't have a problem with it. But what I saw when the team landed, they're good to go. I mean, they're back to business. Like, look, the media must talk about them. They're superstars. I'm sure you saw the conversation I had with Ademola Lookman. I tried to push him to talk, and he said, look, we were just having a conversation on the pitch. It was just players talking to themselves. What's the big issue, But I'm glad that Channels Television were the first to set the record straight when there were talks that Victor Osimhen left camp. Victor Osimhen was this and that. I said, no, he stayed in camp. He cannot leave the camp. He's with the team. And yeah, now we see that he's in camp. He's trained with the team. They have a crucial assignment on Saturday, and as I said, with what I saw today with the training, with when they landed in Marrakech, I think they're good to go.
All right. So let's address the elephant in the room, the issue of bonuses, also taking center focus. So let's talk about what we know. A statement coming out today from Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, the Minister of State's Finance, on the issue with the Super Eagles. So, all right, so let's just quickly, the progress so far. Here's what we know, and the statement coming out. Funding all group stage bonuses were fully released and have now cleared the necessary regulatory stages. Talking about acceleration, according to her, we have implemented a fast-track conversion process to move the funds into foreign currency, honoring the players' preferences, all right? These are some of the issues. Talking about disbursement, the final transfers to domiciliary accounts are currently in flight. Players can expect these funds to reflect starting today or tomorrow. Our focus remains entirely on supporting the team's welfare so that they can maintain their incredible momentum in the knockout rounds, all right? This is where we are. That statement attributed to the Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite. All right, so that is where we are for now. Let me just quickly bring in Bolu Omoni. He joins us now. Bolu, greetings to you. I would have loved you to be in the studio with me. That's what we're used to. But anyway, it's all good. Greetings to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, good to be here again. I think it's still fresh to say Happy New Year, and I'm sure we're going to have an exciting year in 2026.
All right, so, I mean, what do you make of all of this? Now, it appears that the dust has settled, the statement has come out, and I guess we should concentrate on the football now.
That's the most important thing because, one, if we are not even at the tournament, we won't be talking about all these conversations. Now, distractions, the shenanigans, money here, fights there. The conclusion of the whole matter is the players are in Marrakech. They've trained together. They want to win. I've already saw since they've attributed to India. I've seen everyone talking tough. It's more like we need to fight back against Algeria. We played again. I don't think we've beaten Algeria since the first leg at the World Cup qualifiers for Russia. We played them. The second leg was given to them as a victory based on things who have been lied. They defended us at AFCON and everything. So everyone, I want to believe even the players know what to do, which is to do their best to qualify to the semi-final. They didn't qualify for the World Cup, and many have said winning this tournament will be good for them. And there are no better teams to play than one of the best teams in the competition. Both Nigeria and Algeria have had a strong start. They're arguably the best teams in this competition so far. I think this is the best place to set the record straight. Who is the better side between Nigeria and Algeria at this competition so far? In my lifetime, I don't think we've seen Nigeria score this much goals. Someone goes in 4 games. I hope it doesn't end here. But whatever happens off the field, now we start to focus on what's going to happen on Saturday at the venue in Marrakech.
All right. So let's just dive straight. I'll yield to Austin in a little bit, but let's quickly dive straight into the quarterfinal now that we've taken out the little matter of the Super Eagles. 2 quarterfinal matches to be played tomorrow. So let's attempt to do a preview. Let's start with a game between Mali and Senegal, 2 West African neighbors. Before we begin to look at the stats, let me just ask Bolarinwa, as his own preview, Mali, Senegal. Is there much to choose between these 2 sides? It appears they look similar. They might just cancel each other out.
Well, there's only one favorite in this one, and you can't really put them in the same box. Senegal have a better team. They have an amazing record. When you look at their last 8 international matches, they've only conceded once. And that shows you how tight it is to score against them. They just won the championship, the Africa Cup of Nations in 2021. So the core of that team are still playing, and they'll be looking to continue their excellent run in international matches. Like I said, not just the Africa Cup of Nations. So they will be favorites, and I expect them to win. But Mali have also shown that they can be big game players. We saw the way they won their round of 16 match. With 10 men, they dragged the game into extra time and eventually won it on penalties. So they have the tendency of, also turning up in big matches and being the giant killers. But I don't think it's going to happen this time. Senegal have a very strong team. Even when they look like they are not in football matches, they still find a way to, get that result and move on to the next stage. So Senegal to win it for me. If anything otherwise happens, then it's one of those things that happen in football.
All right, you eat the humble pie if it happens. All right. Let me to Austin. Match details on our screen. Venue start it being Batuta, time 5 p.m. Mali and Senegal. Usually, Austin, you don't get to do this. You're the one asking people questions, but since I'm the one talking, I get to do this to you. Do you have a crystal ball? What do you think is going to happen?
Bolarinwa said the right things about Senegal. Bolarinwa has spoken the minds of about 70 to maybe 80% of football fans all over the world. But I love oddity. I'm the guy who wants to come back and say, didn't I tell you? I said it, didn't I, on the show that Tunisia was going to struggle against Mali. And despite being 1 man down, Tunisia couldn't beat Mali, So I think the Malians now, they have heart. I think now they have belief. That win must have done something good to their confidence. And at this point, they're saying, look, why can't we go all the way and tell a beautiful story, And I think that's what we just, push them against Senegal. Senegal cannot afford to be complacent. On paper, they have a better squad. On paper, they're expected to go through, big names here and there. And that makes it so difficult for them because they will definitely be feeling the pressure. And you're as good as your last game. There's no way they will not say that they will not study the Malians and what they did in their last match against Tunisia. So, but at this stage, it's like the competition after every game will refresh. So as I said, I would like to say an upset. Don't tell me to predict. So let me run to Bolu. Bolu, this is the sort of game where, we want to come and say, look, Africa's football has gotten to a stage where if you blink, you start asking questions, Bolu.
Well, the truth is, you and Bolari have literally said everything they have to do with this game. Without any doubt, the favorite are Senegal. But what those Malians did against Tunisia. Got a man down before 30 minutes in the game, and they still ended up winning. They've not won a single game in this competition, and they're in the quarterfinal. That's what competitions like this do. You check Euro 2016, Portugal only won one game in 90 minutes all through the competition, and at the end of the day, they were the champions. The only thing you need to do is don't concede more than your opponent or don't lose, and you can go all the way. On paper, on field, by name, man for man, Senegal are the favorites to win this up, but it's definitely not going to be walkover. We saw what they did against Tunisia. It means they can fight, they can defend, they can avoid losses. So if Senegal are not careful, it may just be maybe a difficult one for them, but I'm still going to put my heart out for Senegal in this one. It's going to be very, very difficult, very tough. Two West Africans, like Emi said, they know themselves. They will play well, play jam, but they do everything possible to progress. I'm maybe just going to tilt a bit towards Senegal, so maybe a 60-40 for Senegal to go through to the semi-final.
All right. Bolu has given us his opinion, and of course, Bolariwa and Austin as well. I'm very sure you'll be expecting me to say something, but I'll sit on the fence. I'll just let it go. All right, but let's allow the stats do the talking and help us out in looking at the journey of these two teams so far. How many times have they played against each other? And there you have it. Looking at past AFCON meetings, in 2004 in Group B, that game was played on February 2nd. Senegal and Mali played out a 1-1 draw in that one. That's a previous encounter between them. But let's also see how many times they've met and some of the results. I'm very sure it's going to come up on your screen. From the stats, they've played each other 40 times. Senegal has won 19 times, 13 draws, and 8 losses. And if you flip it, Mali has won 8 times. They've lost 13. And of course, they've drawn 13 and lost 19. So the stats does favor the Senegalese. So we'll see what happens with that one. And we'll see whether the guys turned out to be correct in their predictions. All right, we got to move on. Still talking about quarterfinal matches. Let's quickly spare a thought for the next game that also will be played tomorrow, Cameroon and Morocco. And the match details here on your screen. The time is 8 p.m. Start Prince Moulay Abdallah is the venue, and it's going to be Cameroon against Morocco, the quarterfinal fixture. And for me, I think this is going to be a good test for the Atlas Lions of Morocco. And a few people might disagree if I say they've not really been tested because, especially against Tanzania, everybody expected it was going to be a whitewash, it was going to be a blowout, it was just a slim 1-0 victory. And some can even argue that if it was a better side and Tanzania had taken their chances, it probably would have been another story. But also, it must be said that a few injuries here and there has not helped Morocco's cause. Unai has left the tournament, a few other players too. But let's quickly take a look at the head-to-head. In this instance, we're able to bring it to you, Cameroon and Morocco. This is what you have. Talking about the two. They both played 13 times, and Cameroon seem to have the upper hand. They've won 6 times. Morocco has won twice. In terms of draws, it is 5 times. And of course, losses for Cameroon twice, and of course, for Morocco 6 times. In terms of goals, Cameroon has scored 11 goals against Morocco, conceded 9, and Morocco has, of course, scored 9 and conceded 11. And you can also see the goal difference right there. Bolu, let me just quickly come to you on this one. Do you agree, as some have said, that Morocco hasn't really lived up to the hype? They're pre-tournament favorites. There's still some bookmakers favorites to win the tournament. But do you think they have, played to the level some of us expect them to be on?
But one of the things we've seen about the AFCON is just like every regular tournament. Either you have favorites or not. It's not going to be a walk in the park for you. At least it's only one game they've dropped points, and it was a draw, not a loss. They've won every other match they played. They have the highest score in the competition so far. Yes, they struggled a bit against Tanzania. Some other big teams have struggled as well. But they are here in the quarterfinal, which shows the first 11 games, like you read against Cameroon, they didn't win a single one. And the last two matches they played against them, they won both, scoring 6 goals without conceding a single goal in those matches. So they've grown from where they were. But this is a competition. Being the favorite doesn't guarantee 100%. In fact, we've heard there was a report that they're already complaining that they have North American officials here and everything. And I said, aren't you supposed to be happy that your neighbors are the ones taking charge? It's just sense fear. One thing about Cameroon is they are used to these African competitions. After Egypt, they're the second most successful team. So they know the history. They have what it takes to play competitions like this. It's one of the things that worked for them against South Africa in the round of 6. South Africa played, Cameroon scored, which was the most important thing for them. But you expect Morocco as favourites any day, any time. The way they play, their performances, the kind of goals they score, and all to still turn up. I still believe they'll be the favourites to qualify. But again, favourites doesn't guarantee you win. You have to do the business on the field of play.
All right, let me get to Austin. We're about to go on a break in a minute. I'm not sure I had Bolu right. Maybe it's because I disagree. Do you see Morocco as overwhelming favourite? Are they slight, or is just anybody's game?
I think it would be for the hosts, but Cameroon would need to fight. They will need to push. They will need to show that they can beat Morocco, because at this stage of the competition, I'm sure you know Morocco, they're already believing. And what they did against Tanzania, they'll be saying to themselves that if they bring that sort of performance against the indomitable Lions, then they are out. Cameroon, by the way, they are loving what they're doing. But look, clash of Lions. And if you look at Morocco before even this Africa Cup of Nations, all of us were talking about them. Bolarinwa, we admired them, but when we now got into tournament mode and saw the things that was happening, that was where we started saying, okay, with Cameroon and everything that they went through, the restructuring of their football, telling the likes of Anana and Vincent and Boubacar that your time is up, and going back to bring a coach that where everyone thought was out of the game, and now they are playing this sort of football, just makes it difficult for you to do the analysis. It's crazy. But hey, I think football will give us the answer. But with everything I've seen Morocco do at this competition, they have my vote to go on to win. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. Now, when we come back, there's still so much more to talk about, so don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight. On your award-winning, sports-loving Channels Television, we're taking a look at the 35th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. It's tagged Morocco 2025, and Morocco, they've done just enough to make it to the quarterfinals, where they will take on the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. When that game kicks off, Lions will roar. Bolarinwa, I said Morocco can do it. Do you agree with me?
Well, they're my number one team to win AFCON this year. But based on what they've done in the country's football sector, we've seen the development in the women's game. We've also seen it in their age group competitions. And it's only right for them to eventually succeed with the senior national team. Whether it will happen, I'm not so sure. But I still tip them as the favorites to win this year's competition. The way they played, maybe not so convincing their last game against Tanzania, just like you said. Even the coach, Walid said he wasn't happy with the performance because he felt they should have played better and maybe secured qualification before extra time. But they have an informed Brahim Diaz who has scored in all their games at the competition. So if he continues with that form, then they have a good chance of beating Cameroon. But it's not going to be an easy match of any sorts. Cameroon, with the off-field problems, they've somehow managed to get into the quarterfinal. And they've not been doing bad at AFCON. Remember, they still played in the final when Senegal was this Senegal? Yeah, Egypt. When Egypt won it, that was in 2017. Yeah, they played in the final, so they actually have a good record in the competition as well. So they are my favorites, but if they really need it, I think this is a big test against one of the best teams in Africa, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
I totally agree, Emi. And if you take a look at everything that they've done so far with their football, beyond just kicking the ball on the pitch, you can tell that that's their actual motivation. And this is the last 8 where you cannot afford to snooze, because if you snooze, you lose.
I agree. But I want to flip back and get back to Bolarewa. The toughest games they've played in this tournament, maybe you pick the one against Mali and the one against Tanzania. It does appear that they struggle to deal with teams with physicality, and that's what the Indomitable Lions will bring to the table. Indomitable Lions will probably sit back and just like they did to South Africa. So I'm hearing people say, oh, they're favorites, the way they play and all that, but they struggle to deal with teams that play in such a way. So how do you think they're going to be able to handle? Because that's what Cameroon definitely will do.
Yeah, that's why I said it's the biggest test for them at AFCON. I said they are favorites based on what they have at the moment. Maybe the results or the way they play has not shown it. But with the structure, the coach, with the experience, Hakimi is back, is playing. And we know how crucial Hakimi is for the Atlas Lions. So he's playing. So it's just for them to find that balance. I understand what you said about physicality against teams. I mean, in their first game against Comoros, they struggled to break Comoros in the first game, eventually winning that game by 2-0. But what I like about them is that they find a way still. They dig in and still get the results. And at this stage of the competition, trust me, Yemi, no one cares about how you play or what happened or how difficult it was for you to break down teams. At full time, whether it's 90 minutes, 120 minutes, or penalties, you just have to win. Then you move to the next round, learn your lessons, and see how far you can go in the competition. Like I said, the coach wasn't happy. He said it clearly that he wasn't happy with the way they played against Tanzania. But they have another game to correct that, and it's the biggest test yet if they are to win AFCON 2025. And a crucial part as well for them is the fact that the home fans will be supporting them all the way. It's not always a factor to win football games, but it plays an important role and serves as motivation for the players.
All right. So Bolu, let's just, before we leave this matter altogether, let's just, spare some thought for the Cameroonians, because everybody seems to be tilting towards the Atlas Lions. If, looking at it from their perspective, is there anything to change, or just the same approach? Just go at it. I particularly like the way they held their nerve against South Africa. I mean, they were able to take everything South Africa was throwing at them in the last 20 minutes of the game. They held their own. I mean, it's going to be a lot tougher against Morocco. Putting into context the crowd, the determination of the Moroccans, and all of that. So, do you think they'll going the same way will be a factor, or there probably will be a few tweaks?
Well, you said something earlier that Cameroon are also team to win. Because Morocco are favorite doesn't mean Cameroon don't have a chance. They just need to do exactly the same thing they did against South Africa. You will not outplay Morocco based on performance, possession, and everything. Just let them have the ball. Make sure you are clinical enough. Passes through the defense, play well in midfield, and if you have 3 chances, score at least 2 of them. They definitely have the chance. I'm sure they know themselves that you cannot outplay them. It's like, let me look at examples. Like maybe you want to play Pep Guardiola's master Barcelona. You know you won't get possession, but you can still win against those teams. One of the weaknesses for Morocco is the strength. This jabody, rugged style of football. Cameroon can do just that. Make sure you hit them hard. If you keep hitting at them, they may just slow down a bit or take their legs off some tackles and everything. And it plays as an advantage for Cameroon. So they definitely have the chance. Their strength is in their muscle. And I'm sure their coach will have said to them, these guys are weak in terms of energy, strength, and I'll just give it to them. But at the same time, in chase for goals, in the hunt for getting a goal, don't forget how to defend. Because Morocco can definitely hurt you if you give them the chance.
All right. So it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe I'll get back to Austin, but I feel, for me, I don't think there's any favorite in this one. It could go either way. And if Cameroon takes the approach that I've seen them take in the last few games, it might just be curtains for Morocco. My thoughts, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
I totally agree with you. On current form, if you want to use their last 2 matches, you want to get it to Cameroon, But I was speaking to some of my Moroccan friends, and they were telling me, I talked about the same physicality, and the guy said something profound. He said they were using intelligence to break down that physicality. And this is what I've been saying. I've even been asking some Super Eagles players, I'm going to shout the physicality with African football. Is there intelligence in there? And you can tell with the way even the Super Eagles, they are breaking down their play. There's a bit of intelligence coming into it, and I'm beginning to understand Eric Shell's game project. And something important that Bolanriwa and Bolu talked about is the role of coaching. Football is now scientific. No disrespect to Cameroon. From the World Cup qualifiers to the playoff, you and I never thought Cameroon would play like this. But Morocco, they've shown some consistency, which means that they understand themselves as a team, and they've shown that they can actually win and they can, sustain momentum. They've not just built it. And we know what it is with the group stage when teams come out to play negative football because they don't want the blowout results. And then the round of 16, Tanzania just say, if it's God that gave us 2 points, then let this miracle continue. But that was how far they could go, But yeah, I'm not taking away the place that we might see, Cameroon do something that will get you and I talking. But let's end it this way, that we know that right now the better team is Morocco, and they might just go all the way to, beat Cameroon. And I know, that you want them to still stay in the competition because you don't want empty stadiums, and they're going to play Nigeria in the semifinals if we beat Algeria. That's something for us to look forward to.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's jump ahead of ourselves. Although anytime I jump ahead of myself, I remember '98. We're busy thinking of Brazil, where we should focus on Denmark, and we're playing in Toulouse, and we lost. But let's jump ahead of ourselves. But this is just for laughs. I mean, before we let Bolariwa go, if you had the opportunity to choose, let's say we cross the hurdle of Algeria, is there any of these two teams you would have preferred to play?
100%, I would prefer Cameroon. To be very honest, I would prefer Cameroon against Nigeria. Not saying they are the better team, but I think the way they play suits the Super Eagles. I think we'll beat them easily. When I say we, Nigeria. Morocco will be tricky. I just feel playing against Morocco will be very tricky. And we don't have a particularly good history against North African teams in the semifinals of AFCON. Still remember losing to Tunisia in 2004. In 2019, we lost to Algeria. Those kind of matches gives me flashbacks against North African teams. I mean, we've had some good games against them, sure, but when they are hosting, it's always tough. Or whenever the Nations Cup is going down in North America, we tend to, at times, struggle to break them down. I mean, one of our biggest wins at AFCON was in a North African country. So who says it's not going to happen again in 2025? But I prefer Cameroon simply because the way we play under Eric Shell, I've been so impressed. We pass the ball, we play with confidence, we control the game. The defenders are close to each other, they understand each other, and most importantly, we know how to get the right passes forward, create goals, and score goals. So it suits Cameroon, who really depends on physicality in football matches. So the intelligence that Austin spoke about comes into play. Intelligently break them down, finish the game before the second half, and then you're good to go. So hopefully that happens, but we'll see how that goes tomorrow.
All right. Bolariwa Olaji, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So before we leave the AFCON altogether, let me ask Bolu. I mean, to be fair, and I agree with Bolariwa, if we scale Algeria, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But if we scale Algeria, I would not want us to play against Morocco. But what would be your choice if you had the opportunity to choose? Not that you're going to get any opportunity to choose, but if there was that, what would be your preference?
Without any doubt, it has to be Cameroon. We played ourselves, we both have history, we know each other. Our style are similar, although we switched a bit under Rochelle, but they can't use Jambody to ride us. But Morocco can use ball possession to outplay us. So it's better. Like they say, the enemy the devil is probably better than the devil. So I think I'll choose Cameroon any day, anytime. Let's rub it out with each other. That to look for a team, you'll be chasing up and down based on possession. They see one opportunity, they score in your house. So Cameroon any day, anytime.
All right. I mean, Austin may want to chip in. So Cameroon for me as well. For you?
I told you I'm definitely going to be Morocco, for obvious reasons. And for the competition's passion to, keep going, for the fans to, love. Like I got into Marrakech and it was a different vibe entirely from what we saw when we were at Fez, So that's way, I'm sure, that's enough to push them. And look, Morocco would have said, okay, if they could be complacent if they had a blowout result against Tanzania. But that result against Tanzania now means that, look, we have a lot of work to do. I just pray they don't embarrass Cameroon.
All right. I guess that's a good place to live in. Let's take a breather. And, of course, when we return, we will be talking about other Asias aside the African Cup of Nations. Let's go out the Nigeria Women's Football League results right there on your screen. So let's just quickly run through the match day 5 in Group A. Adamawa Queens lost to Rivers Angels with 3 goals. Ibom Angels lost to Bayelsa Queens 2-1. Ikiti Queens defeated Niger Red Tails 1-0. Pacesetter Queens and Atlant Queens was goalless. That's in Group A. Let's flip and take a look at other results. We go to Group B. You have FC Robo Queens, of course, defeated Hudiame Queens by a long goal. Confluence Queens lost to Oshun Babes by a long goal. Delta Queens defeated Danas Ladies 2-0. Remosas Ladies lost by a long goal to Nazareth Amazons. Abia Angels defeated Sunshine Queens 2-0. These are the results on match day 5. Bolu, your thoughts quickly on women's football, match day 5, any surprises before we move on?
Well, if I talk now, they will say I hype women's football too much. So let me just go straight to one of the two reasons. But if you do well, you deserve all the praises. The team I'm really rooting for this time around is Robo Queens. In the last few years, they've had good starts, but they crumbled at some point. But during the festive period, I met with some of their players, asking them, how do you guys want to prosecute this season? You started well. Hope you finish. They are full of confidence, talking about how they will do everything they can to not just qualify for the final Super 6 or Super 8, but they will do their best to win. That's the kind of spirit you like. We see it in the men's football, and it's good that it's coming into the women's game. They've gone so well, won all their 5 games. There are about just 3 teams or so with 100% record in the NWFL so far this season. Robo is one of them, and they consider, I think, just 1 goal so far. That's champion stuff. But we all know Nigerian football, first standard is always a different competition from the second one, but it's a good win for them. Rivers Angels as well, with scoring 3 goals on the road without conceding. I think that's also very, very impressive. But like we know in NWFL, do everything you can to scale through this first phase. And the second phase is when the major competition starts.
All right, I agree. Austin, your thoughts quickly before we go to the English Premier League.
I would just completely agree with Bolu. It's in a way still early days, in the league, but I like the fact that the teams that really got us talking last season, they're still doing the same thing, sustaining the momentum. The MPFL, the NWFL is competitive. I will always commend the management because we get to see the good result on the page. You get to see away wins, and all of those things that really makes us love the beautiful game. But I want to leave it till about 2-3 matches to the end of the first stanza, and then we'll start seeing the real color of the league.
All right, Bolu, let me just quickly get your thoughts on Ibom Angels and the sanctions, and maybe if you can, do sanctions work?
I think it does. Most of the time, it feels like it's a slap on the wrist. I think there are many things we can do to avoid these things. First of all, with this serious barricading, the ones that want to laugh at, even some clubs in Europe have this barricade. For you to enter the field, you have to jump a huge fence before you can get into. That's one. Another thing is having proper security at the venue. One of the things inside the licensing regulation is the certain amount of security you should have minimum at every venue. The basic thing is follow through with these licensing regulations. If we do, it may not stop, but at least it will reduce drastically.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. Every Nigerian fears soldier. Every Nigerian they fear dog. If you put soldier and dog as security as every match venue, everybody will think twice before getting onto the field of play. And one of the biggest sanctions that teams run away from is point deduction. Not all those pay 5 million, pay 10 million that we don't even know if they paid or not. But point deduction. As a fan, you'll be hurt if what you did is what gets your team relegated. Look at Kano Pillars, see they're struggling now. That one is just 3 points. Then imagine maybe where you cause violence your fans, they deduct 5 or 10 points. I believe it will find a way of reducing. So it's more of what they need to sit down, think and agree on in the boardroom before bringing it onto the field of play.
I agree with you. You've spoken my mind. I was wondering whether or not some of these teams get to pay these fines. And even if they do, it's not hurting them. And that's why we're seeing a repeat. All right, before we go on the show, let's talk about the English Premier League. And of course, our man, Austin, is furiously refreshing his tab to tell us the big one. These days, I don't know if you can still call Liverpool title rivals, but they're still in the top 4. And so they are locked in the battle with the Gunners at the Emirates.
That's right. 42 minutes already played. We're approaching 43 minutes in that game, and both sides are still searching for a breakthrough. Pretty much tight game. I expect the Gunners to have, done something now, but this is Liverpool saying to themselves that if they can get something out of this game, they can use it to get, their campaign on the way. So yeah, still goalless. I think it's going to stay that way until we approach halftime. Leandro Trossard with a yellow card in the 12th minute, and some major touches here and there from Liverpool, but hey, we haven't seen goals yet. But Bolu, with everything that we've seen and the results that we saw yesterday, that should be enough reason for Arsenal to go on to win this game and start believing that maybe, just maybe, this is the season.
I spoke with an Arsenal fan earlier today, and I said one thing, that Arsenal will have their time of maybe crumble where they'll maybe go on 2, 3, 4 games without winning. This is the best time for them to accumulate more than enough points. As it stands now, they are 5 points ahead of both City and Aston Villa. The win for them extends it to 8. They don't have what it takes yet because Liverpool are kind of struggling. It is Arsenal's time right now. Remember when Liverpool won the league in the COVID year? By the time they crumbled, it was hard for anyone to catch up because they built a healthy league. The same thing happened last season as well. By the time they struggled a bit, they built a healthy league. That's what I think Arsenal needs to do. The game has not been all that because I've been watching as well with Star. But Arsenal are still the favourites to win, but Liverpool have been the upright in that game. Defensive error between Arsenal defenders, they think the ball over the goalkeeper, but hit the bar. But that's what big matches do. I've noticed this thing in football. Yeah. You may be poor as a big team, but when you face each other, sometimes you just find a way to live up to the beating. So let's see if Arsenal can get all 3 points after 90 minutes today.
I know, Yemi, you love the things you're seeing in the league this season, particularly after last night's results. You're saying to yourself, come on, you Gunners.
Yeah, anyone will say that. But I feel for the Reds. It must be said, too many injuries. But then again, you can balance that and say, even while those guys were playing, the results still aren't good. Isak not playing, Kitike not playing, a couple of players also not available for the Reds. So we see. But matches were played yesterday, so let's just quickly take a look at the results. I really, as we prepare to wrap up on the show, Bournemouth defeated Tottenham 3-2. Thomas Frank really under pressure. Brentford hammered Sunderland 3-0. Crystal Palace put a goalless draw with Aston Villa. Everton, of course, reduced to 9 men, played a 1-1 draw with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Fulham defeated 10-man Chelsea 2-1. Manchester City were held to a 1-1 draw by Brighton. Burnley, of course, played a 2-2 draw with Manchester United, handled by interim manager Darren Fletcher. And, of course, Newcastle, in that dramatic game, defeated Leeds United 4-3. And looking at these results, if you're an Arsenal fan, Arsenal should be winning today because the results here give them an advantage. So,
well, the truth is, the big boys, I know they play, but 2 venues got it for me yesterday. It was at the Vitality. Semenyo bidding his farewell in 95th minute winner for them. And at St. James's Park, 102nd minute winner for Newcastle by Barnes. That's the beauty of football. Until the final whistle, the game is over.
Yeah. I saw the Harvey Barnes go. Very, very dramatic. Well, Austin, I guess that's where the cookie crumbles. That's the much we can take on the show tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I was just taking a look to see if there's anything that will happen, but it seems that game will get to halftime goalless. I cannot wait to join it. It means we're going to see loads of fireworks in the second half. That's the show in Marrakech, Morocco. I'm Austin Okonakpa, and in everything you do, remember, Let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Well, it's a wrap here in Lagos as well, but I want to say very big thank you to Bolu Omoni for joining us on the show tonight.
Absolute pleasure to me.
All right, that's the show today. We hope you've enjoyed everything we brought to you. Still one more edition before the week runs out. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.